Okay, so today I am super excited to welcome Alecs Donovan onto the podcast. Alecs has a super impressive sporting history that has led her to setting up her own business and training in yoga specifically for pregnancy. Swansea-born, Osprey centre and Welsh rugby international player with 7 caps for her country. Alecs made her debut playing in the Six Nations back in 2018 at the huge Principality Stadium in Cardiff. And before that, winning Man of the Match in her first Welsh game. Alex's love of sport doesn't stop at rugby, however. She is also a keen hockey and netball player. But Alex's sporting career came to an abrupt halt after suffering a major injury. And it was at this point that she discovered the benefits of yoga, which led her to the creation of her current business, Yogability, yoga without the Zen, and then qualifying as a pregnancy yoga teacher. During the pandemic, Alecs has been offering Yogability sessions online through Instagram Live and has now launched her Yogability online courses. So suffice to say, she is one very busy and inspirational woman. So I'm very glad and grateful that she has found time to chat to us today. So welcome, Alecs, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure, and I'm so excited to hear more about kind of your sporting history and how that's kind of led you to where you are today, I suppose.
Really random, and it's weird when you kind of explain it like that because it seems, it's just mental. I was playing netball and hockey. I kind of chose netball when I was in university. So I come from a really sporty family. So my dad played rugby for Wales, and my mum still actually plays hockey for Wales, and she's 63. So really, really sporty family. I've just always been into sport and really physically active. And like you said, I ruptured my Achilles when I was playing netball just after university, actually. And so the Achilles came off the calf muscle, so they couldn't operate it back on. So it's held together with scar tissue, and they have to kind of give you worst case scenarios. So they were like, oh, you may not be able to run again. Try and mentally prepare for not being able to do any sport. And then I was like, what? What do you mean, like, no sport? It was just really bizarre. So they said, to get the mobility or like stability back in your your left leg, try and do some yoga. And I was like, the stereotypical, I was like, I don't think I can do yoga. But I didn't have anything else to do anyway. So I was like, I'll go to a couple of classes, see what they're like. And when I was there, I was thinking, it does look pretty easy. So I was, like muscly, like fit girl, I was like, right, I'm gonna give this a go. And it was so hard. I was like, more people need to be doing things like this. And it was then, actually, it was because even though I always knew that sport was kind of my first love, and yoga was something that could help me with it. So the benefits kind of outweighed how much I enjoyed it, because the classes were an hour and a half that I was going to, and they were really they were pretty zen, the ones I would go to. But there was about half an hour in the class that I loved, because it was like the physical challenge, or the kind of the part that you kind of can tell that you need to be a better athlete, or for rehab or prehab or anything. So I then was like, oh, there must be half an hour, the physical side of yoga. There must be classes somewhere. So I was, Googling like yoga for athletes or physical side of yoga, blah, blah, blah. I just couldn't find anything that really suited me. And especially then when I started getting back into running and started getting back into sport, the hour and a half, it kind of seemed like more of an inconvenience than when I had the time to do it. So then obviously that dropped off, and I was training more, and then you pick up niggles, and then I was like, oh, I gotta just create my own method. Surely there's more people out there that need yoga, that didn't love it. So then I created Yogability. So yeah, Yogability is a mix of yoga mobility work. So it's still a standard yoga flow kind of style class. You're on a yoga mat, and you come through dynamic stretching for a flow. But I added kind of the strength and rehab work into it, where you work more on stability and the strength through the range. So rather than just flexibility, I'd work on the two. And yeah, I just kind of grew really quickly, and I went full-time pretty much straight away, and it was really, really good. And it's been about 4 years now. So it's it's good.
Amazing. I love that. And I think you have definitely kind of bridged a massive gap in the market. And I can totally appreciate, obviously, I never did sport to your level, Alex, but as someone who is a really keen sports person and I like running competitively, I also had some major hip surgery. And I had the exact same conversation with a consultant. You're probably never going to run again. I'm thinking, I definitely will, but how?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's until you get to that point that you realise how important like the mobility and the strength side of caring for your body is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think you can kind of just go, if you don't get injured, you can almost just go through not really doing much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose pregnancy is a huge strain on your body. So in that you're obviously when you're an athlete or you're doing sport, you're putting this strain on your body, but actually growing another human is kind of almost an equivalent in a different way, isn't it?
100%. And it's kind of, you'll see as we introduce it, it is kind of seeing them as really similar, almost obviously completely different, but a similar kind of way that you would create a method of, yogability for pregnancy. You just you kind of adapt it to suit what you need as a pregnant woman.
Yeah, I love that. And I suppose every pregnancy is different and every woman's body responds differently. And people go into pregnancy in such different physical and mental states. And I think that the yoga that you offer really supports all of that and can be used by all women. So what kind of made you, because I know you started Yogability, was it 4 years ago?
Yeah, so Yogability was 4 years ago, and that was initially created for athletes that, like I said, like needed yoga, they didn't really like it, but it's grown. They work with so many different types of people, and I didn't realize how many more people kind of like the physical side. And don't get me wrong, we still do the relaxation at the end, but they don't even know that that's meditation. They just think they're having a relax.
Yeah.
So if you just do, and they love it now.
Lives are so busy, aren't they? So to spend
an
hour and a half doing a relaxation form of yoga for some people is fantastic, and maybe that does fit in. But for a lot of people who want their yoga to be part of either their strength and conditioning or their rehab or preparing them for something like birth, it's much, I guess, more beneficial for those people to have this more functional movement in their yoga classes.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it just depends on the individual. So it's nice to give everyone a different option, because kind of one form doesn't really fit everybody. And it's the reason I wanted to get into pregnancy yoga was for my friends, really. I mean, it's too late now because they've given birth. And when I told them I was doing it, they were like, great, after we give birth, you're doing it. But basically, they were like, oh, can I come to your class? And they were, 4 months pregnant. I was like, no, you can't. Like, I'm not trained in it. I don't really feel comfortable. I don't know what you can and can't do because I haven't been in that situation or anything. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, obviously, and I'd be like, no, just don't come, because I was like, I don't know what to recommend, really. So I said, there's other pregnancy yoga, just go to those classes. So they'd go, and they were a bit, because they're a bit like me, going from like sport, really active, and now they're pregnant. So obviously, even though they don't feel like doing as intense exercise, they still train. They still train throughout pregnancy, but it's just a different kind of training. So yeah, I thought, oh well, if there is kind of like what you said earlier, the gap in the market of actually people do want to move a little bit more and stay active, but in a safe environment, knowing that what they're doing is fine. So I think that's what I wanted to create then, was still the Yogability method, still, working on still a bit of strength through range, movement, but in that safe environment that they know that what they're doing isn't going to do them any harm.
That's brilliant.
So
and It's so important, Alex, that when they approached you initially, that I think one of the signs of a great yoga teacher or fitness trainer in any aspect of life is when you say to someone, actually, no, I'm not the best person for you. And so doing that's amazing. And the fact that you've then made yourself the best person of them for the future or for pregnant women now is incredible. 100%.
And now I can say, I know what to do. Whereas in that situation, and it's really easy with your friends to be like, come in, that's fine. But I was just, it's not even, they probably would have been fine in the class, but it's just that unknown that I wasn't comfortable teaching. And that's why during lockdown, I was like, right, I'm going to do my course. Because I think it is really important. You get to the age where like a lot of my friends are pregnant, and there's so many different, they all feel really different in pregnancy, which is the same as all the athletes I meet. All of them have different injuries or different weaknesses, different strengths. So you can kind of see a similarity then in, actually, it's not just a one size fits all kind of thing. And even though I was trialing out the Yogability routines, and then I sent it to one of my friends who is like 32 weeks, and I said, so what kind of thing can you and can't you do at the moment, just so I know where you're at? She said, well, I can still do burpees and push-ups. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm not, that is fine. I was like, what, why are you still doing burpees? Like, as in, there's so many different types, and then someone else is like, I haven't done anything since I found out I was pregnant, which is almost the fear factor as well. So it's been really nice to kind of go out of my comfort zone, even though everyone just thinks it's me hiding the fact that I'm pregnant, but I'm not.
But it's going out. Alex isn't pregnant.
I know. But it's it's nice to be able to learn about it, and to be honest, it's a lot more straightforward than I thought, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really interesting that you mentioned the fear factor, because I think that is huge amongst pregnant women when it comes to physical activity and exercise. And one of the kind of leading bodies that we set guidelines by, called the RCOGs, that's the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists, have put out recently this amazing infographic, which thankfully is kind of spreading over social media, which states quite clearly that pregnant women should be doing a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. And in the infographic, it kind of goes through all of the fantastic benefits of physical activity and exercise in pregnancy. And so one of the other things I love about your Yogability is that it can incorporate into that 150 minutes, whereas a lot of conventional yoga, where it is so relaxing perhaps, and your heart rate's going to be staying very stable, it probably wouldn't quite push into that moderate intensity category in the way that some of your movements will. So it kind of fits that as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And when I saw that the other day, I thought it's a really good it is moderate intensity really. And don't get me wrong, you don't even have to do everything that I demonstrate. You can kind of ease off whenever you want to. And I think that's what's really important, so just remind people. And I think that's what's been really good about lockdown with regards to people trying things in their own home, because sometimes in a class they have that almost like that ego thing where you think, oh, actually I should do it, but it's just, it's really important. I think that's what maybe one of the biggest difference between pregnancy yoga and Yogability and just a normal Yogability class is like the aims of the class is just really different. And I think it's really nice, and it's really nice in a way, because it's nice just to do a session and just feel like you're moving in a really comfortable way, in a nice way, something that's going to benefit you and not put any stress on your body. So I've really enjoyed actually planning the sessions. It's been good. I've even put a pillow up my top just to see how it was. And the girls were like, it does not feel
abdomens.
Like that. Yeah, I know.
Strap one on.
They were like, it's not like having a pillow under you. I was like, all right.
Yeah, like it's a little bit heavier. It's a little bit more.
I know.
Just a little bit, maybe. Love it. No, it's brilliant. And like you said, pregnancy and exercise in pregnancy is your goals and aims are going to be very different to what they might be outside of that time of your life. And dropping your ego is so important. but something that lots of people do struggle with, because you can no longer push for a PB. It's just unrealistic.
No, yeah.
And your body's going to change, your aesthetics are going to change. And for some people, that's a real challenge. So I think doing something like yoga, where you're moving in a way that you can kind of connect to your body a little bit more and focus your goals on your preparation for birth and labour, as opposed to getting a PB or shaping your body in a certain way, is so invaluable.
Yeah, and I think it's a really nice way of doing it, and I think the psychological effects of it is almost it's more beneficial than in a normal yoga class, because you're doing this for the really right reasons, and it's just good to give people a different option, because I know so many people love traditional pregnancy yoga, and which is great, but I just want to give those people that may not necessarily love that style just a different alternative to try, and like you said, just to give that little bit of a moderate intensity, so that you do feel human at the end of the day, because I know a lot of people struggle.
Yeah, definitely. And I think pregnant ladies tend to be signposted quite often to yoga classes, and I guess it's quite useful maybe for you to just explain to people why that is, and why yoga can be so beneficial to pregnancy.
So it's like physical benefits and psychological benefits, but so physically I would say, so it improves like strength, flexibility and balance, and then leading from that, it can help reduce back pain, especially lower back pain, and you get a lot of hip pain in pregnancy, so it can help reduce the pain. It can improve posture, so everything's like almost pulling you forward, so we do a lot of almost strengthening the upper back, and the pec stretches, just to help a little bit with posture, and it can help develop pelvic floor, so whether that's relaxing or contracting, and it can increase blood flow, so it helps with overall circulation then, so it can help reduce swelling. And then the psychological effects, it promotes almost that overall emotional well-being, so it can help if you're trying to manage stress and anxiety, can help improve your sleep. But I know some yoga classes also really focus on breathing techniques that you can kind of take into labor and birth. And like you said, just overall with that 150 minutes of moderate intensity, you can help kind of reach that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the breathing techniques are so important, because women will do loads of hypnobirthing practice and loads of kind of preparation at home for getting their breathing right in labour, because we know how beneficial that is. And actually doing that during your kind of stretches and your mobility movements in your classes is an amazing time to be practicing it, and practicing that relaxation and contraction of your pelvic floor, because pelvic floor health goes massively kind of neglected, I think, amongst all women. I think a lot of us are guilty of neglecting it unless we've had some symptoms. So yoga is a great way, especially if you do have a busy lifestyle, of relaxing your pelvic floor, because it's very common that we contract and we contract and we contract, and then we end up with a tight pelvic floor, which can be just as dysfunctional as a weak one. So that breathing and relaxation aspect to some of the yoga movements that you do is a fantastic way of practicing that proper relaxation and breathing, which will really help to facilitate a hopefully fairly speedy and uncomplicated birth at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's it all links together, and I think and even when you're talking about stress and the anxiety that pregnancy brings on, it's nice to have that. And I think a lot of I always revert back to my friends, because I haven't been through it myself, but they always say that once you're pregnant, and from then on it's all about the baby. And they said, like, what about me? Like, I want to do stuff that feel good for me. So I think that's another reason that I was like, right, I'm going to do something for you guys, so you can feel like because as soon as you're pregnant, you're like, right, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and you think, and it's almost all negative, and you think, what can I do? Why can't? So it's another almost like mentally. So it helps massively, just to be able to think, I'm actually going to do a class today, or I'm going, I feel better. And I think that's massive to help with the stress and like, managing stress and anxiety as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the emotional preparation for birth, again, is something we don't really focus on, but yoga really provides you that opportunity to think about your body and connecting with your body, and having that opportunity to just spend time with yourself and doing something for you. Because like you say, it's completely true. Women focus entirely on their baby and going to the antenatal appointments and all the other things that we have to manage in life. But actually your body is growing and nurturing another human. And for it to do that effectively, you've got to give yourself a little bit of kind of self-love and self-care as well. And
100%,
it kind of fits into it perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I suppose for women who perhaps haven't practiced yoga before, become pregnant and think, right, I've got to start, I know about all these health benefits of being mobile and exercising pregnancy. Is pregnancy yogability or kind of pregnancy yoga in general, is that something that's kind of safe for them to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with everything really, there's almost different levels, different progressions on each move. So you can really stick to all the basics and, just go on whatever you feel comfortable. That's just the number one rule, is just listen to your body. So whatever you feel comfortable doing, great. If not, just hold back. And like we were saying, it's like, I think it's a lot to do with enjoying the session. So if you feel good doing it, if you're enjoying the session, great. I mean, there's loads of different styles of yoga, so one may not suit you, but that doesn't mean you don't like yoga. There's so many different styles, and it depends on the instructor and everything as well. So I would say, just if you've gone, you didn't really like it, I would just try different ones. And yeah, I do think it's, like we said earlier, just about the fear factor. I mean, as long as you listen to your body and you're, we're trained in teaching pregnancy yoga, so we're like, you can kind of trust us with regards to what we will do. It isn't going to harm. But again, just listening to the body is the most important thing if you're trying yoga for the first time.
I love that. And I suppose the different types of yoga, so I know there's loads, and I wouldn't even try to pronounce them because it would be an absolute disaster. Is there any types of yoga that pregnant women should kind of avoid or stay kind of away from during pregnancy?
It's definitely down to the instructor, but I would anything heated, so hot yoga is just a no-go for the pregnancy. But apart from that, I would advise to actually go to a pregnancy yoga class, purely because I don't know if all instructors would say no to come to a class, because it's not because they're trying to put you in danger or anything. It's more like they don't want to be rude, I guess. So, and they don't want to feel like, pushing you out. So I would try and stick to a pregnancy yoga class, just so you can kind of feel safe in it as well, because some classes are really dynamic, some are hard. And even though they are, if they are called, like, vinyasa is a really popular style, it's quite a fast flow, but it depends on what instructor you go to. You may go to one and you think, oh, actually I'm fine doing this, but I would definitely try and stick to a pregnancy style, especially the like almost the further on you go in your pregnancy, just for your own kind of mindset as well.
Definitely. I think as well, it's really useful especially if you are someone that's used to practicing yoga or used to being...
Well, yeah, that's a bit different, yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you've got people around you that are more advanced or at a level that you used to be, and sometimes it's really hard for you to kind of slow yourself down or step back. So taking yourself into an environment that is specific for pregnant women can actually help you just to kind of tail things back and not feel like you need to keep up with what's going on around you.
Yeah, because they always, like, even on our course, they were saying there's kind of different rules depending on how advanced you would in your yoga practice before being pregnant. But if you're new to it, or if you just feel a bit uncomfortable, if you even feel like, oh, that kind of split second, oh, I'm going to push into this position, I would just, it's not even worth, like, it's, basically your aim of yoga is changing. So I would try and stick to a pregnancy class if you can.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've kind of alluded to, therefore, why it's so important to practice yoga with someone who is trained specifically in pregnancy. And yoga teachers or fitness trainers shouldn't be offended if you ask them whether they have got a specific qualification or training in pregnancy. And if they are without putting anyone down, but if they are a really reputable trainer, then they should be saying to you, actually, no, I'm not, and signposting you somewhere else, and then you can go back to them afterwards. So it's not about discontinuing maybe a relationship that you've got with that teacher, but at that point in your body and your journey, they might just not be the right person for you at that time, and it is really worth seeking out someone who's pregnancy trained.
Definitely. And even though I am pregnancy trained now, I would still not, I would, even if in my general yogability classes, they're really differently designed than my pregnancy. So I still wouldn't, even if I was like, yeah, I could teach you, but it would be a different class to what I'm teaching everyone else. So and to be honest, I think it's nice to have people, if you go into a class, like online is a bit different, but if you are going to a class, it's nice to have that social side, and even you're talking to people that are pregnant as well, and it's nice to have, I guess, the social side of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. You're kind of building a support network with people that are already like-minded. So when people go to group antenatal classes, the people that are in there are just thrown together because of how far pregnant they are. They might have nothing in common. Whereas if you're all seeking out something like a pregnancy yoga class, then you kind of can guarantee that you've got something in common already, which is always nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you see that they become friends, even after, and it is like some of my friends, I was like, I'm gonna be on my own.
Yeah.
They've all got like their little groups. But
and they'll be having a chat, and you'll be doing downward dog in the corner.
Yeah, I know.
And so we kind of spoke about how you've obviously created your yogability, and then you've taken this pregnancy take on it, and how those exercises are different and specific. So what kind of things should pregnant women, I guess, be careful of or avoid during yoga practice during pregnancy?
So the main rule, like I said earlier, was just listening to your own body. So it's really different depending on the person. But basically not to overstretch or over-engage the core. So no like a severe or like deep back bends or forward folds, really. Lie on your stomach or your back, especially after 16 weeks. And then any twists, so especially if you're in a land, any twists like in towards the body, or to put any strain, to put, if it's adding strain to the stomach or anything, then we'll always, if we are to do it, any sort of twist in which we don't normally do it, will be out. So just trying to always create space for your bump, and then we avoid inversions. But especially, and like even different things that you don't really think about, like transitioning from even a standing position to a seated position, it's just a little bit slower and just more, it's just little things that you may not even notice. It's just little things like that, like or going from a seated position to standing, you may go a little bit slower.
Yeah, kind of protecting your back and things in a way that before it might have not caused you any niggles, but actually now it might begin to, now that you've got all the added pressure.
Yeah, and it's just keeping space, for the bump. So it's but I hate when people say, oh, what should I avoid? I'm like, I'd rather be like, you can do this. So I'm just going to tell you what you can do, because if you almost say the negatives all the time, they're like, oh, I can't do that. So yeah, it's going to be really nice when I launch the online that I'm like, great, you can do all of these.
Yeah, because actually you're totally right, there's so much that you can do, and actually the things that you can't do will be individual for every person, but actually it is a really small cohort of movement, and most of them aren't actually specific to yoga. They are for pregnancy anyway, so you're not going to be doing anything that you weren't already going to be thinking a little bit more carefully about. So we know that pregnant ladies, especially in the third trimester, shouldn't be lying flat on their back, and they won't want to, because it will make you feel dizzy and short of breath. And if you're doing that for a few moments and you feel okay, then that's fine. But if you're doing that for a prolonged period of time, then there is a risk that you're getting a reduced blood flow, therefore so is your baby. So it's those kind of things just to, I guess, to be careful of. But a pregnancy,
and like you said, you'll feel uncomfortable in the positions as well. So as much as, well, like, don't do this, you won't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your body will tell you to stop. And I think our bodies are so much cleverer than we give them credit for, and a lot of movements will be self-limiting. So women will feel this doesn't feel right, or actually I'm not comfortable doing this, and it might be that there's not a pain, but things just don't feel, you just don't feel comfortable with a certain movement, and that's where being in a pregnancy class, I guess you can kind of pick up on those cues and just modify things and scale things back.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's and even the sessions, I'm trying to, you know, plan a session so they're not all the same. And because a lot of times you'll be taught, you know, it's normally a 6-week block, but I'm just doing it session by session. And normally the last session is just relaxation, but some people do want to move. So I'm trying to create classes that they're all kind of different. So you still got that it kind of keeps you interested and still keeps you, you know, learning what you can do.
Yeah, and I guess challenging your body in different ways that you
different ways,
about, which is amazing. And I do think that kind of yoga practice is just such amazing preparation for birth and labour in a way that perhaps we don't always give it credit for. And I feel like people get pregnant and then think, well, that's it, I'm pregnant, so I'm going to stop. And labour and birth is literally like a marathon. So you wouldn't sign up for a marathon and then sit on the couch for 9 months. But yeah, that's what we do with pregnancy so commonly. So I think getting people to move in whatever way they feel comfortable is just hugely beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I even help like 1 or 2 people, then that's great, because I do think sometimes you are, you know, and I know some people love being pregnant, but then there are people that don't love being pregnant. They just feel like they can't do anything. So it's nice to give them another option now of trying different things. And like you said, I think a lot of people almost don't know what they can do, so they don't do anything. Whereas I'm like, no, you can do stuff. And like, if you want to try this, great, try it. But there are different things that you can do. And I think that's just really important, just to get the almost the message out there.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, if you're pregnant and you've never moved a body before, now is a great time to start. And doing something like Pregnancy Yogability is a really great basis to kind of work from. And the other thing I find really interesting is I guess this is from like my geeky midwife point of view, Alex, but we see so many ladies come into labour or into the birth room with babies that are in this, what we call either OP or back-to-back position, which is just a bit suboptimal, and it can cause longer labours and increase the risk of intervention, and it's quite painful for mums. They get loads of back labour that's really difficult to relieve. And one of the ways we know of improving that and getting babies into a better position in the 3rd trimester is being in basically all of your yoga poses in your pregnancy yogability. So those kind of upright, forward kind of positions, as opposed to those kind of semi-recumbent lead back postures. So in the 3rd trimester, it's literally like amazing preparation for optimizing your chance, really, of having a uncomplicated, spontaneous birth, in terms of getting your baby in a fantastic position. And I think we overlook that a little bit, but it's really powerful.
Oh, definitely. I think it's because we can't guarantee it. I don't want to be like, come here and then you can have a great birth.
Yeah.
Because we will be like, I don't know. Yeah. So it's hopefully.
No, it can really help. It's one of the best ways we know of improving it. So I mean, it's got to be worth a go.
Definitely.
For sure. And so I guess we should talk a little bit more about your kind of new venture, I suppose, with Yogability, Alex, because I know we've kind of alluded to the fact that you've now done your pregnancy training thanks to lockdown. So you've got this amazing new service to offer to women. But kind of what does that look like? Are you doing courses online, or is it in one of your, because you've got, is it 2 studios now in Cardiff?
Yeah, so I own 2 the studios I own in Cardiff called the Yoga Hub. So during lockdown, I'm actually gonna start the Yogability for Pregnancy next week. So similar to what I did during lockdown with regards to Yogability online, but it's going to be a different subscription. So I want the pregnancy to be completely different. So it will be a monthly subscription. So it's £17.99. So it's about £4.50 a week, and they get 2 live classes on a Monday and a Thursday at 7:15 in the morning. So they're only half an hour sessions. They can either jump in live or they can do it whenever. So they get recorded anyway. But on the platform, there's already pre-recorded videos as well. So if they want to do it from any kind of video from wherever, and they keep getting saved, so the kind of library will just grow from there. But so during lockdown, there's just the online option at the moment, because obviously we can't open yet. So I'm gonna launch it next week, so hopefully starting next week. So we'll start the Monday and the Thursday next week, and then just grow from there, really.
Amazing. So that means to anybody listening who is pregnant, by the time you're able to listen to this podcast episode, you will be able to sign up to Alex's Pregnancy Yogability. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And I know that sometimes maybe financial constraints can make people question whether this is a venture for them. But what I would say is there is so many things that pregnant ladies and new mums spend money on that you could really easily cut back on. Designer prams, designer clothes, like there's such a massive list. And actually investing in your health and your wellness and your birth preparation is going to give you so much improved results than those kind of materialistic things. So if that's a consideration for you, I would just say have a little look at what's going on and see whether there's a way that you can kind of invest in yourself rather than materialistic things that aren't going to kind of enhance your wellness.
Oh, definitely. And I do a month-to-month contract anyway, so they're not signed into, like, they can do it for 1 month, and if it's not really for them, then they can just cancel at any time. So yeah, it's not any prolonged period of time contract kind of thing.
Amazing. It is. I've checked out some of Alex's Pregnancy Yogability videos that are coming up, and I might have had a sneaky little go myself, and I promise they are awesome, and they are really, really well suited for women of all abilities, all kind of gestations in their pregnancy journey, and also for postnatal mums as well. Some of the exercises will be really appropriate. And I because I love the kind of whole ethos, I guess, behind what Alex is doing with Pregnancy Yogability, and really trying to encourage mums to move their bodies and feel great in whatever that way is for them, to help enhance their kind of wellness and journey. Alex and I have kind of agreed to kind of team up a little bit, I suppose, in that when she launches her Pregnancy Yogability, for the first 10 people that sign up, they'll be able to receive a massive, actually, 40% off my antenatal education courses. So I offer 3 different courses that I will go through with people that kind of take up the offer. So there'll be a 40% off, so you'll have an amazing package, not only of kind of antenatal parenthood and birth education, but also you'll be signed up to Alex's Yogability to help you kind of get moving and enjoying your pregnancy experience, hopefully a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just to kind of finish, Alex, I suppose, what would you describe as, I'm throwing you like on the spot a little bit. we haven't practiced this. But what would you say, I guess from a personal point of view, or for women that come to your service, what would you say were your kind of 3 main benefits of practicing not just yoga, but yogability in the way that you've designed it?
I think one of the main benefits is just to feel a bit more human, I think. And I think that was a really weird one, but it's, all that self-love that we were talking about with regards to, just giving yourself that 20 minutes, 30 minutes of just being able to move, kind of appreciating your body, you're looking after your body in that 20, 30 minutes. And I think that's one of the biggest, and I never thought that's not the reason I designed this or anything, but it's definitely, with everyone that's tried the Pregnancy Yogability, that's the message they sent. They're like, thank you so much, that was amazing. And I kind of forgot it was pregnant for half an hour, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
brilliant.
one of them. And I think a lot of people with their lower back and hip pain, it's really, really common with, especially with people I've worked with recently. So just being able to relieve and kind of release that the hip and lower back pain, I think that's one of the main things I try and work on in the class, because lower back pain, as we all know, is just horrendous. And then the third benefit, I would say, I think it's just all over strength, a little bit of strength and like flexibility. So the mobility of it. So you feel stronger after. You feel even if you're working on, strength in the upper back. It's just you feel that the posture improvement, and you just feel like you carry yourself a lot better. So just the strength, and I think you feel a little bit different after the sessions, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. And so thank you so much.
That was a
Alex,
long three, sorry.
No, I love it. I love
like,
it.
And then this.
It was a passionate three. Sometimes it's so hard when it's a subject that you love to kind of condense it into three.
I know.
But
Sorry.
every woman should feel strong and beautiful and capable, and I think your Pregnancy Yogability kind of incorporates all three for women. So as a midwife, I am so grateful that you have come up with this concept, and I'm really pleased that you've been able to. No, it's a pleasure, and I'm so pleased you've been able to come on today, because I know you are a very busy lady.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Thanks, Alex, and I hope to catch up with you again soon.
Definitely.